scheduling. Learn more at jobtoday.com.
WNYC, independent journalism in the public interest. 93.9 FM and AM 820. NPR News and the New York Conversation.
Marketplace is supported by the University of Illinois Geese College of Business, offering a fully online MBA program learners can take at their own pace. onlinemba.illinois.edu.
On the program today, making economic sense out of all that uncertainty. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by NetSpy. Cyber threats evolve fast. NetSpy helps companies keep up. From pen testing to proactive security, and with clarity, speed, and scale, NetSpy helps protect some of the most trusted global brands at netspy.com. And by Cencora, bringing the companies and capabilities of AmerisourceBergen together under one new name. Built on 150 years of innovation, Cencora is dedicated to improving the health of people and animals worldwide at Cencora.com. And by The Economist, which has been dedicated to providing independent journalism that makes sense of the news shaping the world for over 180 years. More at economist.com or with the Economist app, newsletters, and podcasts.
In Los Angeles, I'm Kai Risdall. It is Tuesday today, the 11th of March. Good as always to have you along, everybody. It is a hard and fast rule of this program that while the economic headlines matter and should have attention paid to them, what's really important is what people are feeling in their day-to-day. People and businesses, too. So I'll give you the headlines, then Justin Ho is going to come on and tell you what they mean. We got a couple of data points about the American labor market this morning. The January job openings and labor turnover survey, JOLTS, of course, from the Labor Department, and the February Small Business Optimism Index from the National Federation of Independent Business. The NFIB says a lot of small businesses are still having trouble filling their open positions. So there's that. But the JOLTS report showed job openings have fallen almost 9% since the same period a year ago. It's a sign that the labor market is slowing a bit, of course. And then you add the general layer of uncertainty in this economy right now. Well, here's Justin.
Throughout last year, sales were strong at Rothman's, a men's clothing store in New York. Co-president Ken Giddens says he went into this year feeling optimistic, and he was planning to hire for 2 new positions.
And then the last week or so has definitely made us think about it a little bit.
Giddens says Rothman's imports a lot of the clothing it sells, so he's concerned that the Trump administration's new tariffs will make that clothing more expensive. And then there's all the stock market gyrations in recent days, which he says can put his customers on edge.
You know, we sell clothing, which is not something that is necessary. And if you're not feeling good about your portfolio or worried about what's going on in the big picture, that can sometimes make you slow down.
As a result, Giddens says he's putting those 2 new hires on hold.
Sometimes you got to raise that caution flag just to take a little breath and see what's going on.
Meanwhile, in Ohio, Heather Whaling, who runs a marketing company called Gebben Communication, is seeing that kind of caution among some of the clients she works with.
In the nonprofit space, there's caution in the education space, certainly in construction and real estate development.
Whaling says that's affecting her hiring decisions. She's already brought on 3 people this year, and she's planning on hiring more. But that depends on how her clients are feeling.
We even are in a situation right now where we have a person that I am 98% ready to make a job offer to, but I need to see how a couple more contracts shake out on my end before making that commitment.
On the plus side, Whaling says she's having an easier time finding new hires. Same with Randy George, co-owner of Red Hen Baking Company in Vermont.
It's been years, really, since we've put out ads and fairly quickly heard from really great applicants.
George says the bakery is in the middle of moving to a new building that's almost twice as big as his current location. He says his business will be affected by tariffs on Canadian flour, for example. And whatever happens to the economy, he says.
It wouldn't surprise me if we see a downturn in our business in the next 4 years. But we also look beyond that.
When the business expands, George hopes to staff up, starting with 2 or 3 new employees. I'm Justin Howe for Marketplace.
Never mind whether artificial intelligence is going to take your job. The good news is AI can now help you with your next home improvement project, although you will still have to provide the elbow grease. Home Depot and Lowe's both launched generative AI assistants this week. Magic Apron at Home Depot for all those shop aprons they wear, and Milo for Lowe's. Nomenclature aside, they can give you product recommendations, summarize reviews, and maybe offer some how-to advice. They're just the latest retailers, those two are, looking to soup up their consumer experience with an AI bot. Marketplace's Megan McCarty-Carino drills down on that one.
I'm actually not in the market for a drill at the moment, but I do need a lot of help with weeds after our winter rains.
You might be looking at Weed Killer, sounds like.
Home Depot's president of online, Jordan Brogy, says their AI assistant is meant to simulate the in-store experience.
You might have a set of basic questions. How much do I need? Is this going to kill the weeds that I have in my lawn? And is it going to harm my grass? How do I apply it? Whatever it may be. This is intended to help answer those questions in real time.
Lowe's Milo AI suggested I might need mulch to suppress new weeds once I've sprayed. And after some coaxing, it calculated how many bags I'd need to buy.
I think they're really promising because they have the step-by-step.
Greg Zakowicz, a strategist at e-commerce marketing platform OmniSend, says AI assistants are on almost every website now, though many don't seem to have a clear function.
I think we're just at an early stage where companies put them on, figure out what works, what doesn't, and then refine them.
For retailers, these tools provide a valuable new stream of consumer data to analyze, says Anastasia Ghosh, a marketing professor at the University of Arizona.
Like, what is the first question a person asks when they buy in a washing machine?
But the more personalized and creative these chatbots get, the bigger the risk. Generative AI is still prone to hallucination and other errors.
So if I buy something, let's say a piece of furniture, and I assemble it myself,
or I go on a DIY weed killing mission.
But if I followed your instructions and I don't like it, now that's your fault.
Home Depot's Jordan Brogy says the advice is clearly labeled as AI generated.
I think customers are in the process of getting more familiar with using tools like this and knowing that they can be extremely helpful, even if they're not 100% accurate.
Sort of like Weed Killer. I'm Megan McCarty-Carino for Marketplace.
Let's do the numbers. Dow Industrials off 478 points today, 1.1%, 41,433. The NASDAQ subtracted 32 points, 0.2%, closed at 17,436. The S&P 500 down 42 points, about 0.75%, 55 and 72. They bounced off the lows is the phrase you're looking for. That bad outlook from Kohl's that Matt Levin was telling us about, that drove shares in the retailer down more than 24%. Some of the other gloomy gusses he mentioned, Dick's Sporting Goods deducted 5.7%. Delta Airlines dipped 7.25%. American Airlines projected a bigger than expected first quarter loss, descended 8.33% as a result. United Airlines got caught in the downdraft too. It dropped 2%. There was, though, a ray of light in the airline sector. Southwest Airlines announced that bags fly free is no longer an operative slogan. Some customers will now have to pay to check luggage. Southwest flew 8.33% higher today. Bond prices fell. The yield on the 10-year T-note rose to 4.28%. And you are listening to Marketplace.
The Numbers is supported by Odoo.com, your entire business on one platform. Marketplace is supported by Bank of America. From local shops to global enterprises, Bank of America is committed to helping businesses of all sizes make every move matter. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/bankingforbusiness. And by Schwab. Schwab knows that investors want control of their financial future. That's why when it comes to wealth management, Schwab is dedicated to giving investors more choices. More at schwab.com. And by Pure Storage. In a world of fragmented systems, Pure Storage delivers a single, consistent, as-a-service platform for all data storage needs across on-premises, cloud, and hosted environments. More at purestorage.com.
I'm Amy Sedaris, an expert in the art of entertaining. I've learned that throwing a great party starts with the guest list. Combine the right people, give them the space to enjoy each other, add a little food such as a cheese ball, and then just sit back and watch the magic happen. It's kind of like what WNYC does every day. Rachel Martin, Brian Lehrer, Terry Gross, Brooke Gladstone, Ira Glass, and the list goes on. They bring us together through rich stories and surprising conversations and leave me feeling energized and connected. So if you like showing up pretty much whenever you want to this rolling 24-hour gathering of journalists, storytellers, artists, and otherwise super interesting people, and you want to keep the party going, you're invited. Just try not to show up empty-handed. Please do your part and become a member. Here's how to donate.
888-376-9692. You can also go online to WNYC.org and click on donate. You can also contribute through the WNYC app. This is the last day. We are in the waning hours of our Winter Pledge Drive. If you've been listening all week, you know what the message is. If you're just joining us now, I'm going to reiterate it. The message this time around is different from what you've heard during previous pledge drives. It's a more serious message because the times are more serious. The circumstances are different. There is a certain portion of our funding we get from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which is funded by congressional appropriations. That's all to say it comes from the federal government. We're not sure if that's going to be in the future for us. We are getting strong signals that that might not be there for us in the future. So what we're asking you to do in a time when, like, public media has never been more valuable. It's also never been more vulnerable. It's this like wild dichotomy that we're dealing with right now, and we're asking for you to step up and help protect it for everybody in our community. It's that simple. That is the message, and we're asking you to step up right now. 888-376-9692, again, or WNYC.org, or in the WNYC app.
Pitch in at the level that works for you. Every gift makes a difference. As a WNYC listener, you expect to hear smart conversations about important issues every day. We bring you facts and analysis and news from trusted sources, including NPR, the BBC, and Marketplace, the WNYC Newsroom. Don't take coverage like this for granted. Financial support from our listeners allows WNYC to bring you the reporting that you count on. And on this final day of our winter fundraiser, I'm talking to you. Start a monthly gift today. Step up and support public media and WNYC. Support the programs and the news that you rely on. 888-376-9692, WNYC.org.
New Yorkers move quickly, so sometimes we need to cut to the chase.
Michael, I haven't seen you for 10 years. Have you been?
Well, broke up with Joanna, opened a tea shop, got a dog, met Ramona, closed a tea shop, got married, adopted twins, became a yoga instructor. How are you?
Okay, maybe that's a little too fast. But when it comes to joining WNYC, there's no better time than right now. Whether you've been listening for a while or you just found us, don't let another second go by without supporting the independent news and shows that connect you to New York and the world. Do it now. Here's how.
888-376-9692. You can also go online to WNYC.org or contribute through the WNYC app. I'm going to make a big pitch here. Now, this is New York City. It's the New York City metropolitan region. So there are people on every end of the economic spectrum here and listeners on every end of the economic spectrum. If you have the means to make a big contribution to WNYC in this moment, in the waning hours of this pledge drive, to really have us end on a bang here, I really am asking you in this moment to step up. Like, there is somebody out there listening right now that has the means to make a substantial philanthropic gift to this public radio station. I'm talking $10,000, $20,000 or more. People do give at those levels. That is a thing that does happen. And when you give at that level, what you're doing is providing public media to folks who would give to this public radio station but don't have the means to do so. This is a community resource that is available to all. It is freely available to all. We want to keep it that way. We will keep it that way. And if you make a contribution at that level, it will go a long way to keeping it that way. So if you are that person that I'm speaking to right now, and you do have the means to make a contribution that is that big, I'm challenging you in this moment to step up and end this pledge drive on a really high note. 888 888-376-9692 or WNYC.org, or again, through the WNYC app.
And pitch in at any level that works for you. Every gift makes a difference. We are looking for full participation. A monthly gift of $10 a month makes a big difference to the future of programming here on WNYC. All things considered, Marketplace, they're on the air because thousands of people started their sustaining membership during last year's pledge drive. We're asking for your support right now. 888-376-9692. The website, once again, it's WNYC.org. We thank you very much.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Ryssdal. At the risk of repeating myself, tariff and trade policy in this economy right now is unclear at best. On again, off again, back and forth. You've heard all the descriptions. So too have business owners who, as they wait for clarity, are exploring their options. We heard yesterday from Sam Desai. He's the VP of a metals distributor in New Jersey who back in 2018 had filed for exemptions from the steel and aluminum tariffs in President Trump's first term. Among the many things we don't know about the tariff process this time around is whether there is going to be a formal exemption process. But if there is, and if it looks anything like it did back then, it might be a little bit messy. Marketplace's Kristen Schwab looks back at the tariff exclusion process in the trade war last time.
When Austin Ramirez learned there was a way to potentially get out of being taxed on imports during the Trump administration's first trade war with China, he knew he had to apply.
There are a subset of our products that we just don't have North American alternatives for.
Ramirez's company is called Husco and is headquartered in Waukesha, Wisconsin. It makes hydraulic and electromechanical components for cars and construction and agricultural equipment. About half the parts he needs to manufacture these goods are imported from abroad. Parts like iron castings.
So these are molten metal that's poured into a mold. It solidifies and ultimately it's machined into a final product. It's a fairly labor intensive, not hugely environmentally friendly process. So a lot of those foundries have moved overseas.
This was the main argument Ramirez's lawyers used in tariff exclusion applications back in 2018, that there was no way to source these castings in the U.S. They had to outline reasoning in pages of applications for dozens of items, a process that took months. The outcome?
I'd say probably a third to half of our exclusions were approved.
That's higher than the average 13% approval rate through early 2020 for tariff exclusions on Chinese imports, according to the Congressional Research Service. But Ramirez says the whole process was frustrating because it was opaque.
We couldn't find any kind of rhyme or reason to why certain component categories were approved and why others were rejected.
Dinesh Hasija at Augusta University researched exclusions data from the 2018 tariffs on steel and aluminum imports.
There was a lot of randomness.
Randomness, Hasija says, because it was hard to find consistent reasons why applications were denied or approved. But there were some patterns. For instance, if your supplier was in a country that had a favorable relationship with the U.S., you were more likely to be granted an exclusion.
So the country of affiliation mattered.
So did, perhaps, a company's political affiliations. A study in the Journal of Financial and Quantitative Analysis found businesses that made campaign contributions to the Republican Party were more likely to be granted exclusions. Now, the Trump administration has not announced an exclusion process for tariffs this time around. Robert Friedman, who co-leads the international trade practice at law firm Holland & Knight, has been getting calls from clients for months to explore all their options.
This time around, we were seeing companies preparing far in advance of Trump's election.
He's a bit skeptical there will be an exclusion process because of how wide-reaching these tariffs are and the kind of government staffing reviewing applications would require. But however messy the tariff exclusion process was or may be, it would at least give smaller business owners a way to be heard. Friedman says no exclusion process would give more voice to bigger firms.
The companies with greater political power have an easier time conveying their messages, but that unfortunately is not available to many businesses.
Austin Ramirez at Husco, the hydraulics manufacturer, isn't so worried about Chinese tariffs this time around. The company has reduced its imports from China by about 80%, though none of those supply chains shifted to the U.S.
We now source in Thailand and Malaysia and some to India and some to Europe.
That won't save Ramirez if Trump puts global tariffs into place, something he's floated before.
It is so volatile that, I don't know that anybody knows what to do.
He says he can't create a plan until the administration solidifies its own. I'm Kristen Schwab for Marketplace.
Those who follow the corporate fortunes of Swiss chocolatiers closely, of which, to be clear, I am not usually one, might have seen this item the other day that Lindt, that's Lindt, announced better than expected profits the other day in the face of historically high cocoa prices. Point number one, that's about the pricing power that Lindt has. But point number two, and related, is that not everybody can maintain their margins when input costs go up, and sometimes go up a lot. So we called the chocolate retailer we know to ask about her chocolate plans for 2025. Kristen Thalheimer Bingham is the co-owner of Dean's Sweets. It's in Portland, Maine.
So cocoa prices, as a lot of people know, have been going up. In 2024, the price of chocolate we use went up 4 separate times. And this year, chocolate prices have already gone up again with an increase of 20% just in January. And then there's maybe an even harder aspect, which is the uncertainty about the supply chain. What we're hearing from our suppliers is that they aren't even sure when their inventory will be available. They can't tell us if they'll have the chocolate we'll need in 6 months, and they certainly can't tell us what the prices will be half a year from now. We plan ahead as best we can. So we purchased a lot of chocolate in late 2024 and early 2025, and that means at least we can predict that we'll have enough chocolate on hand through the summer. And then there are the tariffs on China, and we aren't sure yet, but it looks very much like some of the packaging we need will be affected by that. But somehow, even with all the uncertainty, we're still working happily as ever. We were relieved and pleased to get through and have good Valentine's Day sales. Right now, we're doing more and more corporate sales and custom chocolate for hotels. And now, because Easter and Passover are a little later this year, we have some extra time. So we're still working away happily and getting ready with lots of little bunnies for Easter.
Kristen Thalheimer Bingham there, co-owner of Dean's Sweets. If you're in Portland, Maine, check them out.
Marketplace is supported by VantageScore, a leading inclusive and predictive credit score used by 8 out of 10 largest banks and over 3,400 bank and fintechs nationwide. VantageScore drives financial inclusion by leveraging innovation. Learn more at VantageScore.com. And by Drexel University, an R1 research institution according to the Carnegie classification, affirming Drexel's dedication to experiences that positively impact society. More at drexel.edu.
This final note on the way out today, which takes us to a place this program doesn't usually go, the White House briefing room, where, given the state of the markets and of the president's economic policies, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was fielding a lot of questions about the state of the markets and the president's economic policies. Most of what she said was misleading at best, dissembling at worst, and then this lie.
Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people.
We started with one hard and fast rule of this program. We end with another. Facts matter. Tariffs are a tax on the American people. Our digital and on-demand team includes Carrie Barber, Jordan Manji, Dylan Miettinen, Janet Wynn, Olga Oxman, Ellen Rolfes, Virginia K. Smith, and Tony Wagner. Francesca Levy is the Executive Director of Digital and On Demand. And I'm Kai Risdall. We will see you tomorrow, everybody. This is APM.
Hi, this is John Hodgman.